Hi guys, this is Matthew Ely. How many of you are planning on starting a family or have already started a family and want to make it a little bit bigger? Or maybe you're going to become a grandparent. Chances are that you or someone you know is going to experience a miscarriage. Um, Miscarriages are common. Uh, Dr. Melissa Stoppler says that 1 in 5 pregnancies will end in a miscarriage. Miscarriages are largely unpreventable, and their physiological and psychological effects can be damaging. So, what is a miscarriage? A miscarriage is defined by babycenter.com as being the loss of a pregnancy before 20 weeks. So, somewhere before the 5-month period, a mother's body will discard an unviable embryo. And kind of what I want to talk about is the causes of a miscarriage and some of the physiological and psychological effects that one might experience after a miscarriage. Um, Tricia Thompson published an article in Conceive magazine that describes the 6 number one reasons uh, that a miscarriage might occur. The number one reason is chromosomal abnormalities. Basically, chromosomes don't line up, or they might be deformed in some way so that they can't produce a viable embryo. Cervical abnormalities or uterine abnormalities are another cause. Cervical abnormalities may simply have a weakened cervix that can't support an embryo or let alone a baby. Uterine abnormalities occur basically an embryo can't attach to the uterus, or if it does attach, it doesn't get the proper amount of nourishment, and then it is thus discarded by the mother's body as an unviable embryo. Um, Immunological disorders. Basically, a mother's body will attack an embryo. It sees it as a foreign object and it attacks it and destroys it. Another large one is polycystic ovary syndrome, or PCOS. A mother's body produces too much testosterone, which causes abnormal menstruation or ovulation. Bacterial infections can occur. Those can appear in the genital tracts of either a healthy male or female. They go undetected a lot of times simply because they don't affect the parents, but they do prevent or increase the potential for a miscarriage. The last one in Trisha's list is the only one we really have a whole lot of control over, and that's the lifestyle. Uh, Smoking, drinking, doing drugs. Those things are obviously not going to be good for a mother who's trying to create a new life. Um, Interesting part is the environment. Um, Women who work on farms or work in laboratories have a higher uh, rate of miscarriages than most others, and they don't know the reasons for that. My wife and I, we experienced a miscarriage. It was a very traumatic experience. We were so happy. We got excited. We did the name game. We picked out colors, and we were ready to start our family. Um, which kind of leads me into my next point of the psychological uh, aspects of suffering a miscarriage. Um, it can wreak havoc on a female's body, but it can also do psychological damage on the counterpart, the male's psyche, and it can be a difficult situation. Our experience is we'll never know why we miscarried because it only happened one time. Most doctors won't do tests after a first miscarriage. It's repeated miscarriages that they start looking for those genetic abnormalities or bacterial infections or other things that can possibly be corrected through medicine or antibiotics. When we experienced our miscarriage, it was very much relatable to experiencing a death of a family member. Our denial, we went through many of the stages that of loss, the denial, the anger. People can experience anger with God or anger with the world or whatever. Guilt. I think my wife, she felt guilty. She wondered why her body couldn't handle a child, which wasn't the case. We ended up having a child. It just simply it wreaked havoc on her mental abilities and mine as well. It was a very sad time. The depression, I think we were both a little depressed about it. And finally, hopefully everyone gets to that point, is the acceptance point, where you simply accept it. It doesn't mean you're okay with it. It just means that you've accepted it and you can move on from it. And that's kind of the next point. If you can't get to that, there are places where you can get help, and that's something that should be done. If your depression has gotten to a point where you might harm yourself or someone else, you should probably reach out, or someone very close to you should reach out to someone who can get you the help you need. So, kind of concluding this, my experience in miscarriage can be very traumatic, physically and mentally. And although they're common, there are some things we can do. Don't smoke, don't drink, don't do drugs. Do the things that you can to lower the chances of a miscarriage. And if you do happen to experience one, keep your head up and realize that most miscarriages, they're super common. It doesn't mean something's wrong with you. Try again, and your chances of succeeding and creating a new beautiful life are very good. And thank you guys for listening.